On the set here at the NFL Network, joined by NFL analytics expert Cynthia Frelund. Cynthia, thank you so much, first of all, for having us out here. I know y'all are
You like our
super
trinkets?
busy. I do.
We have a lot of fun trinkets.
I have a few of these in my house. They look pretty
on the
nice.
Set of, we're on the set of Path to the Draft, and you have to have like all this stuff. Like
we play with that.
It's a little underinflated. We won't worry about that later.
Well, talking about underinflating, you don't underinflate those analytics or those numbers at all. And I really wanted to pick your brain on what are some, let me start. It's no secret the Vikings may be after quarterback in the first round.
This is the first I've heard of that.
Yeah. So when you look at quarterback, what type of analytics do you look at to see like what fit would be great for which team or how to rank them?
So it's really about strategy. Do you want to go all in and try to move up to get one that you think has top end, going to be there for whatever we call, however long you believe a franchise quarterback needs to be to become a franchise quarterback? Are you going to push all your chips in and say, this is it? Or are you going to take a different strategy where you load up all of the other pieces around the quarterback? Like think of the San Francisco 49ers and perhaps not necessarily need quite as strong of a top-end Patrick Mahomes quarterback or not. So it's really about matching the strategy to the intended outcome.
I know that you do know about Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and his background and a lot of that being the buzzword analytics. Have there been any moves that he's made that's kind of given you an idea of what kind of strategy he would be going for?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I love the Aaron Jones move. Your girl loves a good petty moment, but I also think, aside from that, the familiarity with the teams that you're playing so many times per year, obviously twice per year in the NFC North, but the opportunity to kind of get someone who understands that already for a discount and in a surprise, I thought that was a very smart, fast move because a lot of that people forget that analytics isn't just about doing this really nice math equation. It's about executing things in a fast time respective manner. Think about how people trade on the stock market.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do as opposed to necessarily being here's my beautiful model and we're going to take 6,000 hours and explain all of it to you line by line, right? Not like that.
Right, which is interesting that you say that because I think that contrary to maybe the day trader in him, they made a move before the draft to get those 2 picks. What did you think of that?
I love optionality. So creating the ability to move around the entire chessboard, right? The entire, I say that because I don't just mean in the draft. I also mean with, trade equity or all of the different ways that you could, leverage a free agent. It doesn't necessarily mean 11 plus 23 equals 3 or whatever. It can also mean 11 plus 23 equals 16 plus this plus a wide receiver plus there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can create the outcome. So it's not necessarily just even in draft equity. That was a very smart, it's all about optionality. So you then you don't have to be a fixed, this is my one option only. I now can weigh different equations all at the same time to kind of get the best expected return as opposed to sort of being locked into one trade or one train of thought.
Where are you in that strategic train of thought optionality for the Vikings, if anywhere? I mean, sometimes it's a little too far out to really know.
Well, I think you beefed up the defense in such a dramatic way that there are some needs still. I'm not saying it's perfect, but last year we saw Brian Flores be able to kind of create this it was a very high risk, high reward sort of defense. So you have that mind still there that's in place. I'm kind of take that same high risk, high reward potential and roll it on the offense too. You have probably the best receiver in all of football, and you have a really, really smart head coach that can make things happen. You've got a great tight end. You've got a great running back. There's a lot of good pieces, strong pieces here. And of course, you could always have more, but I don't know. I'm kind of roll the dice, go all in. Why not? I mean, why not?
When you're looking at the prospects as far as quarterback goes, what are the metrics you're using to maybe say what could be good for Kevin O'Connell? As far as, the numbers or just traits in general?
I mean, I guess it's the reality is, and even Jordan Addison, the ability to have really top end receivers gives you some latitude with your quarterback in terms of day one needing him to be the guy that throws the perfect spirals to the perfect location at every perfect time. So there are it's, to me, it's the trade-offs of, well, what do you want him to do? Because obviously we know play action. We know, where he came from, the model that he came from. So are you going to be able to execute that with this quarterback? When they're in the rooms interviewing these top guys, right? Are they understanding the concepts in a way that makes sense as a Viking? Like, these are things I can't answer from like a numerical standpoint. Sure. I can look at their past resumes on film and see what they've done and kind of match it up. But in my estimation, there are several guys who could fit that bill. Yeah. And there are also several guys who maybe we aren't talking as much about, like not the top 3 that could fit that bill. And then you also get the added benefit of an interior offensive lineman or some sort of edge rusher or a corner that could also help up too. So it's the net effect of all of it. But ultimately, it's like, can you run the things we're trying to do? And does your resume like prove it? But also, when you're in the room and they're talking to them, do you think like a Viking?
Right.
That's going to be something I can't answer.
Yeah, well, and they've said that's so important to them from the very beginning of them being at the organization. It's your first time going to the draft this year in your home. So, I mean, what are you most excited about that day, knowing, you're covering it up to that week? What are you most excited about it?
I think all Midwesterners are really proud of, like, the grit. We have cold winters. We have, especially Michigan has been really hit after the 2008 recession. I mean, when the Lions talk about all grit, they mean it, and it resonates with the city because it's really special. Like, I'm a car family. My dad worked for General Motors for his entire career, which is like normal for Midwesterners. Sure. I mean, Minnesotans can relate to that as well. So it's ultimately a really good chance to showcase that this city is on the rise. Like, do not count out us Midwesterners. Like, we have Scandinavian roots. We're Vikings. I mean,
sure.
You're a Viking. whatever. I'm Norwegian. Well, it's a Viking. It all works out.
It does work out. And the draft will return to the NFC North in the next year too. So the Midwestern pride is definitely going to be there.
We love the Midwestern pride. And we got to like show them like some of our like good food, the hospitality. I mean, the Super Bowl in Minnesota was a little cold, but it was incredible for hospitality.
Sure,
so we'll show you some of that in Michigan.
All right. Well, Cynthia, thank you so much. We'll see you out at the draft.
Perfect.
You can watch Path to the Draft on the NFL Network or NFL.com.